And I'm going to introduce this morning's speaker. And this person's very special to me. He's literally family. My cousin Owen is coming here today. One thing about Owen is he's not one to talk about himself. He is one of the most humble people I know. It's funny because we didn't really plan it this way, but last night we talked about Vic. Vic is the one who married me and Emily. He did our ceremony. And Owen was actually my best man in my wedding, in me and Emily's wedding. And I remember it was an easy choice to make when I was choosing Owen to be my best man, not just because he's family, but because he's always been a brother to me. And I love that about Owen. And he lives a life of integrity. He lives a life of character. And he's been through a lot. His life story, I'm not for sure how much he'll share today. I know he'll probably share a little bit throughout conference. He hasn't had an easy life, but through every storm he's faced, he's always put God first, and he's always trusted God, more so than even the people around him. And I love that about Owen. He has a strong gift, a spiritual gift of faith for the impossible, of faith for God to work. And so more than anything, more than the word Owen's gonna bring to us this morning, I'm just expectant and excited for him because of the atmosphere of faith he brings into the room that he walks in. And I love that about Owen. Owen has worked with ESPN. He's worked for the University of Houston. He's worked for a lot of different companies. Currently, he's overseeing a media for a prison ministry. And I just love that Owen is just, whatever he's doing, it doesn't matter if he's in church or out of church, he's always following God's call in his life to minister wherever he is. A few weeks ago, the hurricane, I forget the hurricane's name, just wrecked. What part of Texas was that? Central Texas, near San Antonio. And Owen, he started raising donations on his personal Venmo account. He went there, was late last week, seeing some of the damage, helping out, bringing awareness. And I just love that about Owen. He's always willing to do whatever it takes, whenever, however, he's always willing to take up. So can y'all give it up for Owen this morning? Stand to your feet, HopeFront Youth, and give it up for Owen and the word he's gonna bring today.
Real fast, stay up here, Caleb. Yeah, stay up here. First, what's going on, guys? As Caleb said, it is an honor to be here, but I wanted Caleb to stay up here because I wanted to honor him. Not only are we family, but man, you've got an amazing youth pastor. This man, he might not say it because he's humble too, but he has had opportunities, I know, to get outside of the walls of HopeFront, to get outside the walls of this place, but he has stayed planted. He has stayed planted here because he believes in you. He believes in each and every one of you, whether or not it's youth or worship. He knows the calling and the plan on his life. So I just want to publicly honor him and say that we're just honored to have you here and so thankful for your leadership over this house. Love you, brother. Yeah, give Caleb, stand up, stand up, stand up. And if you could stay standing, because I want to honor a few more people. The first people I want to honor are the mom and dad of this house. Your pastors, Pastor Matt and Martha. If we could give them, yes, please. And this is, like, I'm family. You're hearing, I'm family here, but it's more than just family. It's also a spiritual family, because I think that's even deeper than blood family. And here at this house, man, God, it's gonna get me. I didn't think I was gonna get emotional, but when I grew up, you'll hear a little bit more about my past, but growing up, I grew up actually here in North Carolina. And I actually was planted here. My parents worked on staff here for several years, and my spiritual and life really flourished here. And right outside in that baptismal outside is where I got baptized at the age of 8 because of this house, because of what God is doing here. And it is because of the yes of Pastor Matt and Pastor Martha and the things that they have been planted. Again, to stay planted right here in this area of North Carolina, to continue to grow and feel the call to reach you guys. This is what happened. I go all over the US and I see so many churches, so many people, things that happen. This is not normal. And it's because of their yes. The lights, the production, the band, the things, youth conference, man, many churches, they send their churches off to camp and they go and pay people to do all their camps. That's fine, that's great, don't get me wrong. But they believe in the calling right here to do it in-house, to bring people. So give them one big round of applause. I'm the last person, but before I let y'all sit, because I want to honor my grandma. the grandmother. Caleb on her earlier, but your yes so many years ago with you and Papa, and the things that you did with my mom, with Aunt Martha, going around ministering to people, planting that seed, is because of why I'm standing here today, getting the opportunity to do this. So the things in your life, guys, that you're thinking right now, man, I'm just young, I'm little. It was planted in my grandma's heart. It was planted in my mom's heart. It was planted in my parents' heart, and now it's in mine. So the things that y'all are learning and sitting here today, it's a seed that's gonna be planted for generations. So just wanna say, we love you, Grandma, and we're so honored. All right, before y'all sit down, turn to 3 or 4 people, give them a high five, say, you look good, even though if you're wearing a different color team as me, we can still figure it out. All right, before we get started, I want to also introduce myself. As Caleb did, my name is Owen, and I come from Houston, Texas, a little far ways. I love being here right now because in Texas, I think it's 103 degrees. I thought, though, I was going to get a little bit cooler weather, and I walked outside today, and I felt like I was swimming. It was like all humid. Come from Houston. I'm here with my beautiful wife, Lolly. If you could stand up, and we want to honor you. Lolly, she is by far my better half. She keeps me sane. One thing about Lolly, though, I love is, for me, I'm a little, we'll get to it in the mess. I'm a little timid at times. I'm a little, thing. Lolly, she gets after it. One thing she says that inspires me as a husband, and if I want to encourage you students, when you're looking for your relationship for your husband, your wife in the future, doesn't need to be right now. Y'all are young, don't get me wrong. Y'all are young. I met Lolly when we were in high school, and we'll get to that in our relationship Q&A in a little bit. But one thing about Lolly, though, is she has an adventurous attitude. She compliments me in that way. Her thing she says is, fear fears me. I'm like, man, okay, what? She's jumping out of airplanes. She's going skydiving. She's doing all sorts of crazy things, and she's trying to get me to do. I'm like, what is happening? And one thing I love about her is her heart. She has that heart of going and doing spontaneous things, but something as well that she gets me out of my comfort zone is she'll see a homeless guy on the side of the road. She'll say, hey, they have a dog. We should go get him dog food. We should go buy him something. She has the heart to find a need and meet it, no matter what the situation is. And so I just want to honor you all and say I love you for all your heart and the things that you're doing. You're making me a better man. All right, I'm gonna pray and then we'll get into this message. Dear God, do what only you can do. Make the hearts of these students today, open their hearts to be receptive of the word that you're about to receive. I pray, God, that these students, that their lives will be forever changed, that today will be a marking day in their life, that this is not just a moment, but this is a movement. This is the start of something generational curse breaking in these students' lives. Because I believe, God, there's people and students in this world, in this room right now, God, that they have some things, some silent struggles, God. And I pray that today you unlock and allow them to be open to receive from you, God. And in your name we pray, amen. All right, one more thing. How about that worship band? Man, the worship team. Caleb, I didn't know that we had Alex Warren up here on the stage today, that we had my man Cajon up here on the stage. Like, where do we get that? No, they're awesome. But the title of my message today is There's Purpose in the Furnace. And so we're gonna look in the book of Daniel. Daniel chapter 1 is where you can open your Bibles to right now, and then put a bookmark in Daniel chapter 3, because we'll get to it in a second. So in Daniel chapter 1, as we're gonna just dive right into it, a little backstory of what's happening in this is there's a king by the name of King Nebuchadnezzar, and he ruled over Babylon. Then there was an area, a part of that region that he didn't like, was Judah. And he didn't like the people over there. He wanted to take it over. He felt like he could, run it. Felt like he could just take them over. And so him with his team went out and they overtook it. One of the things that he wanted to do once he overtook Judah was he asked, I need to find some men. And really, actually, they ended up being boys. I need to find some strong young men that can help me and that can help run my affairs while we're over in this part, because now he's expanded his reach. And it wasn't a good reach. It was really not a good thing at all, but he felt like he could do it. And so he asked for 4 boys, and specific boys that he asked for and he ended up getting were 4 boys by the name of Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Zariah. Now, I'm sure many of y'all in here recognize at least one of those names, probably Daniel. We all know, if we've been in the Bible, heard the story of Daniel in the lion's den. And if you don't, you can read on in Daniel a little bit farther, and you'll see that story of how God did some amazing things. The other 3 boys, you might not know who they are. You might be like, and that's how I felt when I read this. I was like, Hananiah, Mishael, I've never heard of those boys. And so this is where we'll pick up. In Daniel 1, verse 6, it says, among those who were chosen were some from Judah: Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah. The chief official gave them new names. To Daniel, the name Belteshazzar. To Hananiah, Shadrach. To Mishael, Meshach. And to Azariah, Abednego. So now it might be clicking. You're hearing some of these names now: Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. How many of here have heard of those names? Yep, good amount. So y'all know. So now here's why this happened. So the King Nebuchadnezzar, he was so evil. He wanted to take over all of this land that he changed their names, because here's what their names actually meant. Hananiah, his real name Hananiah, meant Yahweh is gracious. Shadrach meant command of a coup, which was a Babylonian god. So he changed his name from something that God put on him to basically an idol god that he believed in. Mishael, his name meant who is like God. He changed that to Meshach, who was like a coup, that same God that Shadrach's name was based off of. That is not a little g God, not a big God, an idol God. Azariah, his name meant Yahweh has helped. He changed it to Abednego, servant of Nebo, which is another Babylonian god. So y'all, and we'll get into the story in the furnace with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and hopefully we can unlock something new from that, even if you've heard it many times. But one thing I wanted to encourage you with today is that we all have heard the story of the furnace, but what you didn't know is that they were tested early on in their life to be able to stand firm on what God said by having an identity and a name change. The enemy tried to change their identity. And so I don't know what you're walking in here today with, and what God and what you feel like maybe people have put on your life. What has been, maybe you felt like you've had an identity change. Maybe someone's told you you're not worthy. Maybe someone's told you you're not smart enough. You're not beautiful. You're not loved. Maybe you felt like you've had an identity change. Maybe you've had parents get a divorce. Maybe you've had trials and tribulations, medical, health. I don't know what it is that you've walked in here with today, but I know that maybe you faced an identity change. And I want to encourage you, just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, or Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, their names may have been changed, but at the core, they knew who their heart and who God was. So your daily challenges may seem hard, but maybe that's God preparing you so you can handle bigger challenges. So just like that, they may face that first challenge, changing their names. What is happening, God? What are you doing? Why are you changing our names? What, like we're now in captive, we're now being taken on, and now you're changing our names? They thought that that was the end, but really what it was just the beginning. And God was continuing to show them and make them stronger. And I know that doesn't make sense. Why does it make sense? Why, God? Why? We always ask those questions, why? Now, in my life, I feel like I carried a label, just like they were put that label on their life. The label on my life that I feel like I put was honestly actually not a bad label. I love basketball. Any basketball fans in here? We're in North Carolina. So yeah, there we go. Okay, go Heels. Let's see it. Where's Justin? But I grew up obviously here in North Carolina, so basketball was my sport. I moved to Texas. They have football stadiums that for high school that seat 40,000, 30,000 people for a high school, like huge. So I moved to Texas. I was all confused, like what is happening? A basketball gym, it might look like a middle school gym here. Like I was so confused, but that was the sport that I was attached to. And in high school and middle school, I quickly I was homeschooled, Caleb, and we actually, I did school right here in HopeFront years and years ago. And so I was homeschooled, but in Texas, there happened to be a really competitive homeschool basketball team. And we actually traveled all over the US. One of my teammates, some of y'all, if you're a North Carolina fan, may know of the name Justin Jackson. He was the ACC Player of the Year 6-7 years ago. I actually played on his high school basketball team. So we were really competitive, really fun, got to travel around. And that was my goal. I saw people, Justin was a few years older than me, so I saw people like him achieving this goal of being NBA, college athletes. I think my starting lineup, I was a freshman, and the starting lineup that year, all 5 of them went and got full rides. So I saw the plan, and I had the plan in my heart. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go play basketball. So I went and ran with that and continued playing, and I thought that's what the plan was in my life. I went through AAU ball all the way through, and I had eventually college offers, coaches talking to me, and things where I looked at my parents and said, I might be able to go to college for free. Like, this will be cool. And I did that. And I put that label on myself, and I carried that label as a basketball player. And that is what I ended up. I love the Lord. I grew up in church. I knew that, but I didn't realize that my whole identity was in a sport. So I don't know what you're placing your identity in. You might be sitting here, hands raised, I love the Lord, yes, yes, yes. But then at home, you don't touch your Bible. But then with your friends, you're cussing. But then with your parents, you're arguing, you're not honoring them, whatever it may be. But then here, you put on the mask. So I was one of those. I didn't realize it, but it was. My identity was in a sport. I practiced literally 8 hours a day at times. I touched my Bible, 0. I came to church. I got filled up. I loved the Lord. I did all the things that I thought were gonna get me closer to God, but they were leaving me empty because I wasn't doing it on my own. I was having everyone else carry that. And so if I can encourage you, think about maybe what is that thing in your life that you've put your identity in? What is that thing? So my first point is, the enemy may try to rename you, label you, or define you by your past, but only God gives you your true identity. Only God can. Only God, not your friends, and even then, we sometimes like to even mask worship music as our relationship with God. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with worship music. It's amazing. But that cannot be your time with God. You have to be in the Word. You have to be in the Word, growing your spiritual life. You have to do that. You cannot just mask the things. Now, if we fast forward after they've been renamed, they're now working for Nebuchadnezzar, and we fast forward now to Daniel chapter 3. The same 3 men face another decision. The king was crashing out. He was going crazy now. We're fast forward, and these men, if I can tell you, I'm saying them as men, but they're young men. They were estimated to be 15 to 18 years old between these time periods. So these are people your age. These are not 20, 30-year-old people. These are young people your age, standing up and facing trials, but also standing up for the Lord. And so we're gonna pick up in Daniel chapter 3, verse 13 through 16. So if you want to turn there, I'll give you some time. It says, furious with rage, Nebuchadnezzar summoned Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So these men were brought before the king, and Nebuchadnezzar said to them, is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? See, he's still referring to them by not their real name, by not their actual identity, by the name he put on them. That you do not serve my gods or worship the image of gold I have set up. So I kind of jumped in right into the verse. But at this point in time, Nebuchadnezzar set up a giant idol, and he told them, at a certain period of time every day, everyone in my kingdom is gonna have to bow down. And so he's hearing now that these young boys that were working for him, that were enslaved by him, they're refusing. So that's the kind of the context of this. He said, now when you hear the sound of my horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipe, and all kinds of music, if you are ready to fall down and worship the image I made, very good. But if you do not worship it, you will be thrown immediately into a blazing furnace. Then what God will be able to rescue you from my hand?" Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to him, "King Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before this matter." It's kind of a mic drop moment. Kind of just hit him right back. You thinking the king is coming to you saying, "You're doing something wrong." The authority, people are coming to you telling you, "You're doing something wrong." And these are young men. And they came together and basically said, "Nah, we're good." Because they knew, though, that they knew the call that the Lord put on their life. And they knew that we do not need to bow down to idols. We do not bow down to things. They knew that. But my point, and as we're reading this, is if you've heard this story, you kind of know where this is going. But the one thing that sticks out to me in this, and a point that hits home, is who are your friends? Who's in your corner? And right there in Daniel 3:16, you never hear them mentioned separately. You hear it right here. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to the king. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. All three of them together. Now, when I read the Bible as if it's a living word. These aren't just stories. These aren't just fairy tales. These are real life things that happen. And these are real men. These are real boys. This is a real thing that they went through. So you might hear their names and just write it off, but I don't. I hear their names and I hear real people. So when I read this, I kind of see Shadrach. I think Shadrach's the leader. I think he's like, "Yeah, let's go. We're not bowing down. We're not bowing down." Like, nope, come on. Like, I'm ready to square up. He was ready. I see Meshach. I think he's a little more timid. Like, hey guys, let's just bow down. Like, it'll be okay. Like, it's just quick. And I see Abednego maybe being more the analytical, like, okay, maybe we can go sneak to the back room and like maybe they won't see us, like trying to sneak away. These are real people. These are real people. But the thing and the point in this is together they came to the conclusion, we will not bow down. And so if I want to encourage you today, who is in your corner? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Are they people that are pushing you to greater heights? Are they friends that are pushing you to better things? Because it's going to be hard to find your purpose in the furnace if you don't have people encouraging you. Because when you get down and you're quiet at night and lay your head on that pillow, and if it's just you and you have no one to turn to, it's lonely. And I'm sure many of y'all have felt that. Many of y'all felt that where you're sitting there going, I feel like I'm doing this on my own. I feel like everything I do is coming up short. Well, if I can encourage you, this room's a good place to start. If you're wanting to find friends, if you're wanting to find good community, this is a good place to start. I've seen so many people in here and how their lives, and even mine many years ago, I found purpose and a plan for my life in this room. So if anything, I want you to find someone by the end of this weekend. If you have no one, reach out to someone, even if it's a leader, and say, hey, I don't have friends. Can you help me? There's many people in this room that can help you find that community. And so we cannot do it alone. Point number 2 is you need friends who push you closer to God, not ones who pull you into compromise. Because it's so easy for those boys. They could have easily have just said, all right, we bow down, that's fine. And one of them, if one of them would have been the bad apple to convince them, they probably would have just bowed down and this would have never been a story. They would have just been another one of the people that, just did their thing. But no, because all three of them collectively made the decision. And so your friends, your people in your corner, you need to have people that collectively can help you make that purpose. Because here's the thing, if you don't have those people, how can you expect to go to your school and stand up when someone's getting bullied? How can you expect to go to your home and maybe your family, they don't know Jesus? How can you expect to stand in that if all you have is you're alone? The Lord is not meant for us to do life alone. That's why, I know here there's connect groups, there's small groups, there's things. You have ways to get connected and get in groups. And youth is a great group to be a part of. And so you need those people in your corner. Now, as we fast forward in the story to Daniel 3:17, we see, this is what it says. Their response was, if we're thrown into the furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it. He will deliver us from it for your majesty's hand. But even if he does not, we want you to know, your majesty, we will not bow to the image of gold that you have set up. They collectively came to a conclusion that we're not going to bow down. But not only did they say they're not going to bow down, they had an even if faith. No matter what, no matter if you literally kill us, put us in the fire, put us in the blaze, we won't bow down. But the thing is that although they were facing that adversity, I think something that hits me is you really see what's in you when you're put to pressure. You really see the real you when you're put to pressure. There's many things, many stories where what were the famous words when people handled pressure? And these words were built in them. It wasn't just a flippant reaction. It was a deep-rooted faith reaction because they had it in them from many years ago or many times ago when they were faced adversity with even their name change. And so those things showed up in them with that even if. You can throw me, you can put me anywhere you want. I'm not gonna do it. But even if he doesn't show up, even if he doesn't come through, even if my parents don't ever get back together, even if I don't get the good grade report I want, even if I lose my friends, even if, who cares? They had that faith to say it does not matter. I'm not gonna bow down. And a part of my story, as Caleb referenced earlier, I faced some adversity. I'm not just talking to you from just from a reaction of a Bible. I'm not. I'm talking to you because I've lived it. And a part of that story, I thought I was going to go play college basketball. I thought that was the plan. I told God my plan. And it's pretty funny what happens when you start to tell God your plan. He kind of laughs and goes, well, I don't know about that. And so I started telling God, I'm going to go play college basketball. Here's what's going to happen. Nope, that switched. About my junior year, sophomore year of high school, I got diagnosed with a medical condition. And the medical condition specifically dealt with my heart. And I was told that you're not able to play basketball anymore. You're going to need open heart surgery. And at the time when I found out, my heart and my aorta, the aorta is the main valve in your heart that delivers blood all over your body. I was told that aorta is 2 times the size of an adult male. If someone were to have simply just touched me in my chest, it could have ruptured. And so I had a decision to make. Am I gonna go into a hole, go into a depression, and be upset and question God? I'm gonna be honest, I did for a little bit. I did for a second. I was upset, and I think that that's something important to know, is that when we face trials, it's okay to have emotions because God gave us emotions. He gave us feelings. We're human. We feel things. The most important thing is we cannot stay there. Because I guarantee you, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were angry that their names got changed. They were angry that they were put in slavery. They were angry that they were facing an idol. I guarantee you. But the thing is, in the Bible, what is written is who they were because it's what came out of them. So for me, I went through it and I was questioning, I was upset, I was angry, but the most important thing is what came out. So I had that decision to make. All right, God, I'm facing this trial. I'm facing open heart surgery. I can't achieve the dream and the goal of playing basketball anymore. But even if I don't make it through this, I literally had to have an even if moment because I didn't know the surgery was a literal open heart surgery, and I had to sign papers that said, well, my parents did since I was younger, but they had to sign papers to basically say, if something happens, is like I had to be put on bypass, which means my heart was beating by a machine. And so I had to have a moment knowing something could go wrong and I might not be here. And so I had to have a big moment of saying, all right, God, even if this doesn't go to plan, even if this doesn't go to my plan specifically, that you have a plan and a purpose. My plan with basketball, all right, I have to give it to you. And I had to walk through that. I had to give it to God. And I walked through that, and I'll tell you what, and we'll get to it in a second, of the things that God has done and opened up because I accepted the faith of even if. My third point to finding purpose in the furnace is found in Daniel 3, verse 24 through 25. This is now, what happened was they didn't bow down. So if you know it, they got thrown into the furnace. It did happen. The thing that they were willing to say, even if it all goes wrong, whatever, it still happened. Their faith ultimately still put them in the place that they probably didn't want to be in. But right here in Daniel 3, verse 24 through 25, we see that the king saw 4 men in the fire. And we'll read it right here. King Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in amazement and asked his advisors, weren't there 3 men that were tied up and thrown into the fire? He replied, certainly, your majesty. He said, look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound, unharmed, and the 4th looks like the Son of God. Now, their faith ultimately led them to showing who God really was to others around them that didn't know him. The faith that they had to even be put in a place of uncomfortability. Because I guarantee you, many of you in here tonight are faced with uncomfortable situations, are faced with many things that you're like, God, why? Why does it have to be this way? And you're currently in the fire, and you're currently trying to find your hope and your peace. But I want to let you know that God is with you in the fire. You might not see him, you might not be able to know, but I want to reassure you that he is there. He is right beside you. And all you need to do is turn and ask for his help. So as I close, I want to let you know that in the fire, your faith is forged. Your friendships are found, and your purpose is revealed. There's purpose in the furnace. Their names being changed was not their plan. Being thrown in slavery was not their plan. Being forced to bow down to an idol was not their plan. But God. But God had another plan. And as long as you can continue to find the purpose, to find your hope in God, you will come out unscathed. You will come out perfectly fine. Now you might have some nicks and bruises, but I'm telling you what, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of that fire, they looked like they weren't even in it. And that's what was amazing, is that people will see what you're walking through and will look at you. And for me, people saw what I was going through. Owen, are you good? You're going through surgery. Owen, you good? You can't play basketball anymore. They saw it, but the biggest thing is I saw a bigger God. So people around you might see it and question it, but as long as you know you have a purpose and a plan on your life from God, you'll come out unscathed. You'll come out perfectly fine because God is with you. So I have 3 questions that I want you to write down. Where's your identity? And tag that with a little note. Are you living in the name God gave you? I want you to think, what's your identity in? I want you to think, what are you putting your hope and faith and trust in wholeheartedly? Is it God? Or is it video games? Is it music? Is it friends? What is it? And that's between you and God, but I want you to think about it. The next question, who's in your corner? Are your friends helping stand with you? Do you have people around you that are helping you get to that place? Do you have people that are there to encourage you when you fall? And maybe even a tag to that, are you even a good friend that people want in their corner? And that's a different message, but I want you to think about that. Maybe you're wanting friends, but maybe you first need to be a friend. And then the last one is, do you have true faith in God? have you put your entire faith in God? Or are you just sitting on the sidelines watching the game, knowing what's happening, but not willing to step in and play in it? Because that was me. I knew the game. I knew what was happening. I knew where the victory came from, but I wasn't all in. So if I could just encourage you, ask yourself, am I all in? Am I all in? Now, I want to do something. I want you to sit here, and I'm gonna pray over us. But as I pray, I want you to think about those three things. I want you to reflect and really, really think. Am I a good friend? Where's my identity? And do I have the faith in God wholeheartedly? Dear God, I come to you tonight, and I just pray for each and every one of these students as we're walking through this even if, these friendships, as we're trying to find our purpose in life, God, I want to know, is it found in you? Is it found in you, God? And I want you to think, where's my identity? Is it in you? And I pray, God, that each and every one of these students, right now in this moment, can find their identity in you, can find their purpose, can find their hope, can find their love in you, God. And I know that even if, just like me, walking through the fire, it didn't burn me, I'm okay, I'm here, I'm standing firm, but we trust you, God, even when we can't track you. Sometimes we don't know where he's at, but you know what, God, we know it's all because of you. And in your name we pray.